traumatized. I'm shaking. And I said, why? Why did he do this? He ruined my life. He ruined my body. I can't do anything. I can't work. I'm broke. I have chronic pain every day. Why? Why did he do this? And he said, money. He did it for the money. I can't even begin to explain how you process that or how that feels, even saying it now. He butchered me and traumatized me for the money. And I said, but why didn't he just do a couple surgeries? He had so many patients. He was so rich. He had more than one practice. He was a benefactor of the hospital that he was working in at the time. Why did he need to keep cutting on me and cutting on me and cutting on me until I had to walk out that door? That's sick. There's something wrong with somebody like that. That's sociopathic behavior. You don't need to keep cutting on somebody over and over again, especially when you know the truth and you're lying. You don't need to keep doing that. 2 weeks in, a month in, you're not even healed and he cuts you again and again and again. There's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with all of it. And the door was open and the nurses and staff heard us talking. And they popped their head in and they said, "Oh, are you talking about Dr. So-and-so?" And they knew. And they're all gossiping and they're all talking about this man, this monster that's still practicing and has this unblemished record and is this pillar of the community, and he's a criminal. He's a serial criminal. There needs to be a new category for something like that. And my doctor told me to get a lawyer and to do it fast. And I called, and I couldn't even drive home. I had to pull over on the side of the road. I was so distraught. I was so traumatized. I was so messed up. I could not. I mean, I knew that he destroyed my body. I knew that he had butchered me. That's why I called him the butcher. But I did not have any concept of how deep this went and how sick this was. And I remember when I was in the office with the doctor, I said I call him the butcher. And I will never, ever forget this. He looked at me and he said, he's worse than that. He's a monster. So I was a mess. I had to go to the hospital because I was so broken emotionally and mentally from what I had just heard. And I called the attorney, my caseworker. I have a lot of anxiety issues and PTSD and depression, and I've been through hell. So I had a representative, a caseworker that could talk for me and write papers and stuff for me because sometimes I can't process paperwork and I have a hard time speaking, making phone calls and things like that, and to have to call a lawyer and try to explain what I just heard and what happened to me was just a lot. And as I said, I was trying to go through my disability hearing at the time, which was a crime because I couldn't get Social Security disability because I didn't have enough work credits. So I could only qualify for SSI, and so all the things that had happened to me, they weren't even considered during my hearing. I was considered disabled when I signed the papers and I filed for SSI. So it was like it never happened. It didn't mean anything. What he'd done to me. So anyway, we called and we didn't even get past the secretary. You know, we didn't have the records. I didn't have the medical records, and I had just heard my doctor tell me all these horrible things about the butcher, and it was hearsay. Where's the proof? How about the scars on my body? How about the long list of diagnoses and treatments and millions of drugs that I've had to take. You know, that doesn't matter. So no case. You know, this happened in, 2003 to 2005, 2014, statute of limitations was up forever ago. And you get, why did you report it back then? You know, you hear those things. You don't have a case. So is it. I didn't have the money. I can go hire some lawyer to listen to me. If they don't think they're gonna make any money, you don't have a case. And I was always afraid of libel. So I couldn't just go out there and say, hey, so and so. You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to put up a flyer or a piece of paper, something that said, if you were a patient of Dr. So-and-so in my urogynecologist's office, contact me. Because I want to file a class action suit against him and stop him and make him pay for what he's done to us. Patient confidentiality, whatever. But I couldn't do that. And in my head I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, how come my urogynecologist hasn't reported him? Like, what? If he knows this inside information and he has patients like me and other former patients that he's getting this information from, obviously, we've got the same stories verbatim. Like, why isn't he reporting it? Why didn't he do something? He's the one who can have the proof. Why is it the burden of proof is on the victim? Haven't we been through enough? And my urogynecologist, he tried to get my records twice for my disability hearing, and then after what I found out, because I wanted the proof so I could call that lawyer and try again and be like, okay, here it is. But what would it have mattered? Because the man, he lied with the records, So my doctor, my urogynecologist, ended up moving to Florida. And I lost him. He went clear across the country. And I lost him, if I ever had him. My disability lawyer never could get my records. What chance did I have of getting my records? My case was transferred to another urogynecologist. And in about like 2016, I think, something around there. And the nurse that was working at my former urogynecologist, she transferred to this new doctor that I was now seeing. And we still talked about the butcher. From time to time. And she knew too. Nobody could do anything, and nobody said anything, and nobody... You know, and, during this time, we had recommended him to other people because we thought he was so wonderful. And I'll never forgive myself for that. I didn't do it, my parents did, but still, I feel responsible. And my mom's friend's daughter was younger than me when she went and she saw him. And she had lupus. And she was like 21 or something. Well, somewhere down the line, I recently found some emails that got lost in the shuffle, or I don't know. I've been through so much and everything is such a blur. I got this email about this girl who was also a former patient of the butcher. And in it, it said that she ended up going to another hospital that was, you know, top notch. I mean, nationwide. And, that she had staples in her, and she nearly died. And the doctor, or the surgeon that, you know, saw her and saw the staples and was like, why are there staples in this girl? That she shouldn't have had staples in her. He demanded to see the surgical report, and somehow he got it. He managed to get it. Probably because of, you know, the power of the hospital. And there was no mention of the staples in that report. And the surgeon was irate, and the family was irate, obviously. And supposedly, they did file some sort of grievance against the butcher. And from what I was reading in the email, the representative of, I don't know what you call it, the AMA or whatever it's called, suggested that they get a lawyer. And I don't know what happened with that. And I don't think anything did happen with that. But I don't know. I was also in an endometriosis support group, and I was looking through the emails. And I found a couple people in my endometriosis support group that had also been patients of the butcher, talking about the multiple surgeries. I also saw how we actually talked about how wonderful he was because we believed him. We believed that he was helping us, and we believed that he was doing the best he could, and he was such a nice guy and all this crap. But my leader of the support group, I wish I could remember. There was one woman that was in my support group when I first got there, and I was the youngest one, and I had had the most surgeries and the most stuff happen. I remember that she was so spitting angry every time I mentioned him. And she told me to get as far away from him as possible. And I didn't listen. And I wish that I had, but I didn't listen. Because I didn't believe it. I thought, not him. He's so nice. He's so caring. He's so, he's doing everything that he can for me. And I'm just really sick. And I need the surgeries. And I don't know. So on Facebook, I connected with the endometriosis support group leader, going a few years after the group disbanded. And I found a correspondence. I reached out to her when I found out in 2014, 2015, what my urogynecologist told me. So I reached out to her and I said, I want to go after this guy. And I know that some of the women in our group that we had quite a few years back, I honestly can't recall when I was in the support group. But it was a while back as well that I wanted to try to reach out to these women and talk to them and see, if we could find enough people to try to get this class action suit against this man. To try to, find other people that were victims and see if we had the same stories and see, even just for support. And she messaged me and said that her cousin was also a victim of him, and that he butchered her too, and that she had seen him before that, and she didn't like him. She had some kind of sixth sense that I wish we had, and she left and never came back. So I found, these different bits and pieces of possible people that I knew or knew of. I don't really know them. And, I'm thinking there's, at least 4 that I know of, plus myself. And then there's the ones that are, that were patients of my former urogynecologist, and that there had to be so many more. So I just just started gathering these different pieces and trying to put it together. And I even got the old email list from the entire support group and tried to find these people. I didn't have any success. And I'm sick, and I have anxiety disorders, and I have agoraphobia, and I'm not well. How could I be? I've been through way more in my life besides him and the rapist and all the crap. I'm going through another medical malpractice thing that I'm dealing with, that I'm trying to get over. That nearly killed me, but in my times when I'm able to, I try to look things up, and I try to find something. I was looking for support for medical malpractice victims. And I ran across some Facebook groups. And I've gotten different advice. I've gotten, call the attorney general, file criminal charges against him and all these things. And I've looked into some of these things, and I still don't have proof. And they would contact him to let him know of the charges, and the man's already covered his ass. I mean, when we tried to get my medical records from my latest urogynecologist in 2016 or 2016, we couldn't get them. And I asked the girl in the office or whatever, I said, why can't we get my medical records? We need them. And she said that they gave her the runaround, and they said that, they were in the warehouse, or they were transferred because the hospital had merged with, ironically, the really big, powerful hospital that had reported the butcher. And now the butcher was working for that hospital. So now he's even more protected. I don't look him up. I can't see his picture. I was in the hospital, in the waiting room. My mom was having surgery. She was having problems gynecologically as well. And she was in there, and all of a sudden he walked in. And I saw him. And of course he wasn't my mom's surgeon, but I saw him. And this was before my urogynecologist, told me the things that he told me. But obviously I was traumatized by this man. I mean, I remembered enough and I've been through enough. I saw him and part of me wanted to run across the room and scratch his eyes out. The other part of me just was shaking so much. It was just everything just came back, and it's bad enough that you have to look at this plaque that says that he's some benefactor for the hospital, when you know what he really is. But to see him after all those years, why, I ran away and I went to the bathroom and I threw up and I was shaking and I was hiding and I wouldn't come out until he was gone. I couldn't face him, so I can't look him up. I can't look at his picture. I can't read about him. I can't do research because it makes me sick. It's so traumatic for me. I could only talk about him with my former UroGYN because he knew him. He knew who he really was, and he knew him, and I trusted, my former urogynecologist, so I could talk about him a little bit more. He's somebody that believed me, because it was devastating, because I had my primary care doctor since I was a kid, and, even when I told her the things that, my former urogynecologist told me about him, even though that was her personal friend, she looked at me and she said, well, that's not true because he saved my friend's life. And I felt so hurt and angry and invalidated and what? How can you believe? You're a doctor. How can you believe the lies? How can you believe that he did what he claims that he did? How can you defend him? Look at me. You've known me since I was a kid. How can you defend him? I wasn't like this before. But that was the end of it. That was the end of conversation. And I've never brought him up again. She made it very clear that she was pro-butcher. So I've been on these Facebook support groups and I've read things and one thing that I keep hearing is end the silence and speak the truth and tell your story and let it be known. And if I could, I would make commercials. I would put up a billboard. I would shout it from the rooftops, and I would make a page and, say victims of Dr. So-and-so. Anything to get these women to come forward. Anything to get these women together. But this is the only way that I know how to do that. I'm camera shy. I'm afraid of the news and, stuff like that. And I can write. I've always been able to write, but it's such a long story. And I just felt that this was the easiest way to tell my story. And for people to actually be able to hear my voice, it might make more of an impact. I don't know. But even if nothing happens and he gets away with it as usual, at least somebody knows. At least somebody's heard it. Maybe somebody will hear it and then they'll realize she's talking about so-and-so. Maybe. I don't know. I just wanted to do some good. I just wanted to mean something. And even just to get it off my chest. To just have people know the truth. No court of law, no burden of proof, no nothing. Just, this is my story, and I've told it to the best that I could possibly tell it. I don't know if I forgot some things, or who knows? But I want my voice to be heard. I want my story to be known. And I don't know what'll happen because of it. But I hope it makes a difference. Can I handle a trial? Can I handle a class action suit? Can I handle all these things? No, I can't. I'm so messed up. I'm so broken. I'm so sick. I'm in so much pain. What if I had to? I really wouldn't want to be put on trial because it seems like they always put the victim on trial. But, I mean, if it comes down to that, then I guess I have to face that if that happens. But that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I'm telling the stories like others before me. Maybe hoping that other people will speak up because I have. To create this movement where we're not silent anymore and we tell our truth. And we tell our stories. In court of public opinion. Because the justice system has failed us. We don't even get to the justice system. But again, you know, going back to my rapist pain doctor, I see how the justice system works for him. He doesn't have a statute of limitations. He got indicted in 2013, and he's appealing in 2019. There's no statute of limitations for this asshole. He's guilty. He's probably gonna get his license back. Yeah. Well, that's why we're speaking out, right? Because we're not being heard. You can't make any money off of us, so everybody just gives up on us. People lose their lives and all kinds of things. But you gotta keep protecting those perpetrators and those criminals, right? Even the ones that do pursue it. Even the ones who do sue. Even the ones that go after these people. They're left bankrupt and tired, and the justice system just chews them up and spits them out like the medical profession. How many times can we be victimized? And I applaud every single one of you. And I feel for every single one of you. For your tireless efforts. And for your strength to go on. And to keep fighting. For your loved ones or for yourself. You don't know what kind of strength that takes when the justice system is stacked against you. I respect that. And I want to be a part of that. And I'm not strong, and I'm sick, and if I could, I would march, and I would scream, and I would storm the Senate or whatever. But I can't. I'm bedridden. I'm alone. My life is destroyed. So all I have left is my voice. I hope that's powerful enough. Legally, I don't know how to post this without revealing who I am. I'm always afraid of those things. I didn't think about that part. I'll think of something. Don't give up. Don't give up. There's so many of us out there. We can be heard. We need to be heard. And I know it's hard, and I know it's painful, and I know it's traumatic. I know it's frustrating. I know it seems hopeless, and you feel helpless. But there's power in numbers, so don't give up. Use your voice, if that's all you've got left. Write. Get your story out. Let it be known. There's so many of us. I believe that if there's enough of us, something can change. They have a lot of power, a lot of money. They're really protected. And we're vilified, and I know that. But we know the truth. We know that we're the ones that have been wronged. They're the ones that did the wrong. First, do no harm. And the same with the people who don't speak up in their profession, their colleagues, the ones who protect them. It's the same thing. They're just as guilty. They have way more power than we do. But we're out there. Even the ones who died by these people's hands. There's still loved ones out there. There's still people out there that can speak for them. who fight for them. How many of us have tried for so long, only to be silenced? No more. You know, I think there's a lot more of us than there are of them. And I think that our voices, when combined, can drown them out, and they can be silenced. Thank you all for listening. God bless you. Take care. Traumatized, I'm shaking. And I said, why? Why did he do this? He ruined my life. He ruined my body. I can't do anything. I can't work. I'm broke. I have chronic pain every day. Why? Why did he do this? And he said, money.